Hi.
We are so excited about reviewing one of our favorite books of all time. It's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yep. I'm Debbie.
And I'm Wendy, and we're of Nourish Coaches, and we're so glad to have you here to go on this little adventure through this book. We're going to keep it kind of short and sweet because it's a quick read, but one of the most powerful books ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. It definitely changed my life, I can say.
Mine too, and it continues to. That's the thing about this book. It is subtitled A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom, and it's got such wisdom packed in the
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, it really does. In fact, this is a short podcast. Our Nourish Nash's podcast, this one's going to be short because we want to just summarize what it says. But we really want you to go pick up the book. This version of it is pretty inexpensive, and we would love for you to pick it up. We'll have a link on our podcast page for you to buy it. But it's got filled with a bunch of stuff that we're not going to be covering because it's such a short podcast. But it's filled with philosophy that is so wise and so needed in our society. So we really, really want you to read the book. This is just a teaser.
It is. It's just a teaser, and it's called The Four Agreements. It could be Four Simple Truths. It could be, and it's ancient wisdom. This is not something new age. It's in the depths of all of us.
Yeah.
And if we practice these four agreements, we will literally be happier and healthier human beings, adding to more peace and joy in the world, instead of wreaking havoc. And
So true.
Really good thing.
Yeah, I've introduced it to several clients, and it really is life-changing for almost everybody who's ever taken the time to read it, because it really is just a way of living, and it's very simple, but it's so profound. So we should just dive into it, right?
Let's dive in. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word.
Yeah.
And this is all about saying what you truly mean. It's about being in integrity and being very clear. Brene Brown says, being clear is kind, right? And so
Yeah.
sometimes we need to take a step back and pause before we speak. So
Right.
that might be a practice that we could put into place. But it's really about using language. We do this with our clients a lot, is talk about the language that we're using to speak to ourselves about, calling ourselves stupid, or what an idiot, or how dumb was I, or I can never make this work. Some of that language we're encouraging people to reframe, and this is being impeccable with your word and speaking kindly to yourself, like you would want a friend to speak with you.
And the idea behind this too is that words are so powerful. We don't need to go into that. You know that words are powerful if you just pay attention to the world outside of this. The people who have spoken publicly, and the power of their words, and how that people follow words so seriously. So words hold such strength, so they can build you up or completely break you down. And we want to take our words seriously. And so it's the being impeccable with your word is always using your word in the direction of not only truth, but also love.
That's right. There's energy, right? There's energy in language and words. And so the higher the vibration, right?
Yeah.
When we say the word joy and peace and love, vibration is higher.
Yeah.
When we say all those other words that I said before that I don't want to say them again.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's especially words that you think about for yourself, but what else you say to other people. Like gossiping is an example of not being impeccable with your word. And it's something we all do. But I am so much more aware of myself now. And I think, oh, I'm not being impeccable with my word, and I'll stop. So it's always, in the back of my mind, be impeccable with my word.
And there's one other idea we wanted to share about this being impeccable with your word is that when we make promises to ourselves, that we're on the eve, we're in the midst of holiday season as we're recording this podcast. And a lot of people start resolutions in January, whether it's dropping something that we do or adding something that we would like to add into our lives. And when we do that and then don't follow through, we're kind of breaking ourselves down because we're kind of lying to ourselves. We're like, I'm going to start on Monday, and then we don't start on Monday. So one of the things we do as coaches is help people be more impeccable with their promises and their habit formings for themselves. So we make them so small and so doable that we begin winning for ourselves and start believing in ourselves again, because
Right.
we lose faith in ourselves when we keep breaking our own promises to
Yeah.
ourselves.
We don't trust ourselves because we've broken that promise again and again and again. Just like if someone did that to you, they broke their promises to you, you lose trust for them. You lose trust for yourself too.
Yeah.
All right.
So be impeccable with your word is number one.
Yep. Number two is one of my favorites because it's really helped me a lot. This one has probably helped me the most, I'd say. It's don't take anything personally. And the idea behind that is nothing that anybody does is because of you. Whatever other people say and do is a projection of their own reality and their own self. And so if you don't take it personally, because it usually has nothing to do with you, then you won't be a victim of suffering and thinking, oh my gosh, they think I'm terrible. They think this, that, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? All that other stuff.
Yeah.
Most always, when people behave badly towards you, it's because it's their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking about this before we started recording. One of the biggest examples of this is road rage, right?
Yeah. Them cutting you off has nothing to do with you.
Right.
Or
Right.
them behaving badly in the stores or in the lunch line or anything. It really has nothing to do with you. It's their own bad energy. And there's such self-protection in knowing that it's really not about us, because we might feel offended, but that's just our response to it, right? And so again, here we have the opportunity to pause between the stimulus and our response. And in that pause is where we could say, oh, that's right. It's not really about me.
Right.
It's about their stuff and their mood, and maybe they're hungry,
Yeah, it could be as simple as that. And it's also could be your loved ones. I know many times when there's been an interaction in the family and somebody says something to someone else and you take it personally, but usually it has nothing to do with anything you did. It has to do with them having a bad day or something happening to them, that they used you as a projection. They did it because you're the first one they saw, or you're a safe place to do it on, but it has nothing to do with you. So
yeah.
especially if you were impeccable with your word.
That's right. So end needless suffering by not taking things personally.
Yep.
So that's number two. And number three is don't make assumptions. And I think this is the other thing about being clear, getting the courage up to actually ask questions,
Right.
and be able to say with clarity what you need and what you really want. That kind of communication, again, with ourselves, but also with others, it just, again, will limit the drama of life.
That's right. And we do this without even thinking about it. The assumptions we make automatically, it's like we see somebody and automatically we make a whole bunch of assumptions, about who they are, what they're doing, why they're there, or whatever it is. People we don't even know. But also people we know. We make assumptions all the time. And probably most of the time, they're not all correct. Or there's much more to the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we have to remember that our experience is ours alone. Their experience is theirs alone. And if we assume if we assume something, we can start taking on blame and sadness, misunderstandings. And sometimes we just need to ask more questions.
Yeah, it's so true. And we make assumptions on appearance a lot. I'd say that's one of the biggest things we do. And we dismiss a lot of things by that taking on that appearance and saying this about this person. I think about, there's a local market that I go to that's it's high end, and I live in a somewhat wealthy area. And so you walk into the market and you see many people who, again, you can walk in and assume something about all these people because they're in this market, right? I remember once I was in line and there was a woman ahead of me, and I was making a bunch of assumptions about her by what she was buying and by what she was wearing. And I overheard her conversation with the woman who was checking her out, which completely exploded all of my assumptions about who she was. I had assumed that she was wealthy, that she was probably a little bit snobby, that she didn't care about charity, and she was concerned, very materialistic, all these things that I assumed. And when I overheard her conversation, I said to myself, why assume? I said, I have to remember everybody has a story and stop assuming everything because it's not true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So be careful
It
with
can
your
be,
assumptions.
yeah, quite transformative.
Yep, for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Our last agreement, or or Mr. Miguel Ruiz's last agreement, is always do your best. And I love this one because your best isn't always the same. It's going to change. So one day your best is one thing and the next day your best is another thing, and it's different according to where you are in your life. Like one day, if you're not feeling so good, your best is not going to be the same as when you're feeling on top of the world, really healthy and strong. If you're emotionally, something happens to you in life, your best is not going to be the same as when your life seems to be going on a good roll. So but the bottom line is, wherever you are, just do your best that you can that day. And in that way, it's like you can't help but be like, wow, I'm doing my best. And you're not going to judge yourself and have abuse or regret about what you're doing, because if you're honestly doing the best you can in that given moment, nobody can say anything. You can't even say anything about yourself that would be derogatory or bad.
Yeah. I love this one too. And I think of this often when I'm working out, because there are some like leg days are really hard days, right? And I'm like, just get one more rep out of this. And some days just they're a struggle, but showing up anyway and doing a little bit, going for a walk, or anything to move your body. That's what I think of a lot when it's always do your best. And if we practice, we get better. So that's the other thing, is always do your best. We practice moment to moment, day to day, and we'll continue to get better.
That's right. Yeah. And in doing your best too, it can help you in two different ways as well. It's like doing your best, it can make you forgive yourself for not being better because you're doing your best. Or if you find yourself that you're kind of slacking and you say, I need to do my best, it'll up your game. So either way, it forgives yourself in saying, okay, I'm doing my best, so there's nothing else I can do. Or, wow, I'm not doing my best, I need to do my best. And then I can't argue with myself. So using it both ways is really helpful. And I have to be honest, more often I'm saying to myself, oh, I need to do my best. Let me up my game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice up the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raise the floor, raise the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those 4 agreements alone, so simple, but so transforming. If you just kind of study those 4 agreements, take them on, practice them every day, there's no way your life will not get better. There's no way. It absolutely will change your life for the better.
And everyone around you as well. So it's a perfect gift for yourself and for everyone else in your life too.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're so happy to share it with you. If you like this podcast, share it
Yeah,
with people
please.
you love.
That's
It's a
right.
great introduction to the book.
Right. And remember, we're putting the link in our notes so that it's easy for you to just click on it and buy it. And it's a great stocking stuffer, by the way. I know it's late in the season, but it's great as any kind of a gift. So that go ahead and get it and give it to everyone you love. And it'll be one of the best gifts they ever get if they actually pick it up and read it.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful day.